The other day I was with some guys, and one of them asked me if I thought that religion was a man made invention. When I asked him that, he said, absolutely. Religion is something people just invented to try to explain the unknown. And there's a lot of truth to that. So thanks, Andy. That's a great thought. There's lots of unknowns in our world, and we don't like that. We feel a whole lot better if we can at least give a reason for something, even if we don't understand that reason. So it's not just religion. We make up these kinds of things all the time, like luck or coincidence, this mysterious force that just kind of makes things happen. How about astrology? Explaining things by the position of the stars, the moon, the planets. Feng shui, how arrangements in a room affects the flow of energy, resulting in favorable and unfavorable outcomes. Or how about evolution? Mixing science and speculation to explain what we don't know about the origin of life, fact and theory. But there's no question that religion has played its part in this. After all, there's over 4,000 of them, most of them you've never heard of. Once you get past Hinduism, which is the oldest and the one that no one's really sure where it came from because it has no central founder or central prophet and no set creed, it's just part of the Indian culture that's evolved over 5,000 years and has millions of gods. Once you get past that, what you have is people saying they received some special vision or some revelation from God, and here you go. Buddhism came from a Hindu trying to figure out the riddle of life, so he ends up sitting under a tree for 40 days, meditating, and he becomes enlightened. And he says, here you go. The prophet Muhammad said that he was visited by the angel Gabriel, and he received revelations, and that became the foundation of Islam. Here you go. On the side, he also led military campaigns to kill off the Jews and really any other unbelievers in his quest to unite everyone under Allah, the one true God. Most of the newer religions follow the same pattern. Mormonism started in the early 1800s when the angel Moroni was supposedly to have given Joseph Smith some golden plates or golden tablets. These had inscriptions on them, and then he was given a special stone he could look into to interpret the words on the plates. From that came the Book of Mormon. He then returned the plates to Moroni before anyone else had a chance to see them. On the side, he had his own legal problems, being convicted of scamming money from people and of numerous illegal banking practices. The Jehovah's Witnesses surfaced in the late 1800s under the leadership of Charles Taze Russell. He wrote his 6 volumes, Studies in the Scriptures, where he explained the Bible. Then he actually wrote his own translation of the Bible. He said all this was based on what he called his superior insight and understanding of the original languages, something, by the way, that no Greek or Hebrew scholars accept to this day. He, too, got hauled in on money scamming issues. Could these religions be man-made inventions? Well, sure, because they all rest on the truth-telling of a single individual who got special revelation from God. Some who weren't exactly known for truth-telling, and on top of that, there's no way to verify it. Almost all religions have these same roots, a one-man band with a revelation from God. It all rests on what they said, not on who they were. But when it comes to Christianity, we find ourselves in a whole different league because we're not talking about golden plates or special stones or revelations, but we're talking about a person who didn't claim to be a super prophet, didn't claim to be a spokesman for God, or even an enlightened human being. He claimed to be the very God who created the world living in human skin. Pretty gutsy. And he lived for 33 years on planet Earth, 3 of them very publicly, so people could watch him and then verify his claims. If he was really God, you wouldn't expect him to be involved in financial scandals or military campaigns to kill those who disagree with him. And he wasn't. You'd expect him to do some pretty supernatural stuff, like maybe raise people from the dead or give sight to blind people or heal people who've been crippled from birth and now they're walking, and he did. Unlike other religious leaders, he didn't claim to have the truth. He claimed to be the truth. Christianity is not based so much on what he taught or what he said, although he taught and said some great things, but on who he is. He's either God, like he claimed, or he isn't. He can't be a nice guy and a good teacher if he was a bold-faced liar. But the other unique thing about Jesus is what he did. He said he was going to be put to death by a predetermined plan to pay the awful price of death, which is what justice demanded for wrongdoing, for each of us so we wouldn't have to do it. But then he says something that was way out there. I mean, something unheard of. He said he wasn't going to stay dead, but that he was going to come back to life on the 3rd day, validating his claim to be God. And sure enough, On the third day, that tomb was empty. Over the next 6 weeks, hundreds verified that they'd seen him alive. Many of his early followers were arrested and some even killed because they wouldn't recant that statement. Today, you can visit the ashes of Buddha that are divided under 8 domes across Asia, or the bones of Muhammad at his tomb in Saudi Arabia. Joseph Smith's remains are in Illinois, and Charles Russell's are in Pennsylvania. But there's no remains of Jesus to visit. All you find is an empty tomb. So he either came back to life like he said, the guy who had a great reputation for truth-telling, or something else happened that no one has yet been able to explain. It has to be one or the other. So could Christianity be a man-made invention? There's no question people have added all kinds of things to Christianity over the years, but not to the core. Jesus' life, death, and disappearance from the tomb are history. And if he really is God like he said, and did many things to verify it, then it's on us to figure out what we're going to do with that. About now, if this is the way the conversation had gone, I may say something like, you may not understand the significance of all this, even though you've probably heard about Jesus. If you have a few minutes, I'd love to show you how the Bible explains what was going on and how Jesus fits into the big picture. Then I'd sketch out the gospel. If Jesus is just another human, then Christianity is just another religion. But if he really is God, if he really died and came back to life to prove that, that changes everything. And that's what's at the core of the gospel.